I heard that. I can hear that, though.
Yeah, woman of many talents.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. What's up, good people? You're watching Brudsy Entertainment. I am joined with the lovely Joanne, and we have a special guest on today, the lovely Alisha. Alisha, how are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you doing?
I am fabulous.
Good, good, good.
How's your day been, Joe?
Otherwise, I can't speak.
Been working all weekend, so yeah, just going to go out in a minute and have some food and watch a band. So yeah,
Lovely, lovely, lovely.
Ooh, Sunday fun day.
exactly needed.
Okay, so obviously we were just speaking off there, Alicia, and you were saying that you've never really told your full sort of story via social media. Like, you know, someone like if someone goes to your social media, they're going to see this person that is perceived to be happy and excited and this joyful person, which probably you are in some parts, but you wanted to sort of open up a little bit more. So I'm going to move the floor on to you a little bit, sort of, you know. Who is the real Alicia?
So that's a really good question. Obviously, when you reached out to me today, we could have done a podcast on many different things. But I feel there's such an underlying subject around mental health and drug misuse. So if I get emotional at any point, just because it's still quite raw for me, so just bear with. But I feel that there's a lot of like things happen along mental health, and a lot of people brush it off and go, I'm fine, which is what I did for such a long time. And my mental health got so bad, like at the start when I was younger. Obviously, I'm just going to be completely real and authentic and just say it how it is, because I think that if someone has a story like mine, they can probably relate to it and get the help that they need. But I was quite young when I started having mental health traits from childhood. Didn't have a very good childhood. You know, I watched a lot of things as a child that you shouldn't watch. 7 years old was when I had my first encounter. I was 15 when I took my first overdose. And I've tried to take my life 11 times. Now, my thing used to be to take overdoses was with medication, sleeping tablets, anything I could get my hands on when things used to go wrong. So any minor inconvenience of my life, straight away I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't deal with my life. Then I got to about 18 years old and I experienced drugs for the first time. Now, at first, because I didn't smoke, I was very against everything. I I used to hang around because I live on a little island, so there's not really much you can do, to be fair, progression wise. And it started off first going on a night out, having a drink, a little line, everything was fine. That rhymed, poet, and didn't even know it. And then it got worse. It started to be 1 day turned into 2 days, 2 days turned into didn't come home for 4 days. And I used to, so the job that I do now, I started when I was nearly 17. And you earn a lot of money in what you do because you sell caravans, you make commission, the world's your oyster. At first, I was what we call biggie big bollocks, thinking I was everything with me card, me debit card, loads of commission behind my belt. And then that was it then. I was the soul and the life of the party. The amount of friends I had was incredible. The minute that I had no money, I had no one. No one. The minute I got money, it was like, oh, let's go out, let's do this, let's go out and have fun, which was great. But then I started to become that I was what you call a functioning addict. So I didn't know I had a problem. And it's only till a year ago that I was like, oh my God, I'm an addict. I have a problem. So from 18 to a year ago, I was using constantly. But it wasn't just the small drug like cocaine. I then started to dabble in everything I could get my hands on. I never did heroin. Didn't do that. But I.
Can we
Sorry.
stop there? You stop there for a minute, because you said a hell of a lot, and I'll try and just sort of like repack basically a little bit. Obviously, you're being very brave talking about it. I understand, like, you know, it's the first time you're speaking about it, so it's totally normal, you know. But you said that you were young and you saw things that you shouldn't see. You don't have to talk about what you saw and so on, but like when you said your first encounter, was that when you were 7 years old with drugs that you started taking them?
No, so obviously my mental health started when I was about 7. So I
Okay.
had struggling with like friendships. So basically when I was about 10, so we're going to get quite deep here. I watched a documentary about my dad, and I don't really speak about it publicly. But my dad was the 5 most wanted paedophiles in the country. So when I was 10, I watched a documentary which was the Crime Watch, and that's how I found out who my dad was. Now, as a child, you don't really know what a paedophile is. You just remember the name, and I just used to Google him constantly. And then I'd get a friend, and I'd tell my friend, "Oh, that's my dad," because at that age, you don't really understand.
Yeah.
And I was affected from that quite a lot. I wasn't allowed to go out to play. I wasn't allowed to have friends. My mum kept me in because he was on the run, and I never had a childhood. So my childhood was brought up with adults. So I as a child, when you've got a mum, like my mum liked to have a little drink, little party. Obviously, nothing against that at all. But my child was very different from obviously my dad being who he was, affected me through my younger years.
Wow. And it's that's a real difficult one, because children are going to be very mean, people are going to talk, and it's sort of it will sort of it shouldn't, but when something like that happens, soon as people hear the P word or something like that around someone's family, it sort of tarnishes the name a little bit. And then obviously you being a young kid, that's obviously going to cause a massive problems. And take your time and bear in mind
Yeah,
as well.
no, it's fine.
Take your time,
It's,
bear in mind.
it's my life, do you know what I mean? So for such a long time, obviously I've been bullied from such a young age. So I've struggled a lot with like gaining friendships or relationships, or like even relationships with my family, because like I was such a hateful person because I was so hurt, and I didn't have that normal childhood, going out with your friends or like anything. It was always just me and my mum. So like, my mum did her best, but that stemmed a lot from where like my mental health went wrong, because I didn't have that normal mum and dad. I didn't, like I explained to my family now, if my dad was just a normal man who didn't care about me, I think my life would be a lot easier. To know that, like reading up on that and what my dad did, even to my mum at such a young age, it stayed in my brain. So I had a lot of issues with relationships because I struggled with like that abandonment, especially with mental health. It stems a lot from your childhood and family genetics.
Fine. Take a minute. Take a minute.
I'm
Take
all
a minute.
right. All right. It's just
You're doing
weird.
amazing. You're doing amazing.
It's very strange to talk about it because I don't, you don't want to get judged, or
You're not
like
going to be
oh
judged.
no, I've been judged and not like,
But do you know what? Don't feel that now, especially speaking to us. Don't feel like that now, because we are kind people,
Yeah.
and I mean we're here to support you, and we genuinely mean that. We're here to support
Oh,
you,
okay.
and just getting it out for you. Forget about anyone else; they don't matter. Just getting this out for you is going to do so much for you. So just keep going, and just don't care what anyone says, because if anyone says anything negative to you about coming out about all of this, they're not worth it. They're
Yeah.
not worth it. You're worth way more than that. And I'll tell you something, I'm proud of you for being here.
Oh,
So,
thank
so just keep going.
Thank
And I
you.
and I
I
and I
am
would
10
also
years old, if you've not kind of gathered.
and I would also say as well, most people, obviously, initially, children, they're pretty mean, and and parents will sometimes talk, but most normal people will have extreme sympathy for you because it wasn't your fault. Your dad's done something and he's
You're
tarnished.
a child.
Yeah, your dad's done something and he's tarnished your family. He's tarnished your childhood. He's caused all those sort of problems there. Um, and most normal people are going to understand that. It's just
Yeah.
initially you're going to have bullies, and you'll definitely have trolls. Especially on social media, there's always going to
100.
be trolls. But most of the time, every woman's a trans person. Apparently, that's the common thing that goes around now. But yeah.
What's funny though is so many people have so much to say because they project their own insecurities onto other people.
Oh yeah,
And
absolutely.
I do look sometimes, especially when it comes to my addiction, because a lot of people go, "Oh, she's just a druggie, that one," or and we'll delve into a bit more detail in a bit later about the podcast. But you know, I've made so many mistakes, and trust me, I'm the first one to hold my hands up, which we'll go through about the addiction soon. But like, I look back now and I think I've come in, and no one helped me. No, like, I have my friends and my family and stuff now, but they didn't tell me you need to get clean. I didn't listen to them, didn't care. It was the penny that dropped for me was that I got told I'd never see my child again. And that was the penny that dropped, was like, oh my God, what am I doing? This isn't a game anymore. This isn't about me being selfish and wanting to numb that pain. What about my child? He's never going to see his mum again. So that's kind of what stopped me from doing all of that. But I think a lot of it is more awareness for people, that it's okay to speak out. I mean, I've been ashamed of who I was for so long, that now when you messaged me, it was really strange, because I keep watching on For Your page, like, all this drug and like misuse and stuff. And I was like, why? Like, why is the universe keep showing me this? Like, that's all that's on my For You page, is just misuse, addiction, addiction, addiction. And I'm like, am I meant to speak out? Am I meant to tell people the story? Am I meant to help people? Like, it's just been very strange last like week or two.
Yeah. And I think, like, even people that come from, you know, have great upbringings and stuff like that. You mentioned obviously making money and stuff from a young age. Like, you know, it's very easy. It's very easy, you know, when you start making money from a young age. Oh yeah, I'm Billy Big Bollocks. You know, I can buy this, buy that, going out partying, and then most people don't even realize that they're going down that slope towards addiction. You know, it's just, like you said, most functioning people, functioning alcoholics, functioning drug users, whatever. You know, you're spending money, you're going out, you're enjoying yourself. Seems like you're having fun, and then it just takes. I don't know what happens. Just like that reality just hits you at some point, and it hits people at different times. Like, you know, where shit, I've got a problem with this. You know, and sorry, Joe keeps leaving us. Yeah, so
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, so I mean, it very easily could happen to anyone. You know, if you're not strong minded, it's so easy for someone just to say, take this, take this, come on, we're having a great night, take this, and then before you know it, you know, you're selling all your clothes, you're selling things, and blah blah blah. You know, so
But
uh,
but look where you are now,
Yeah.
and I think most people couldn't get to that place. Do you know what I
I
mean? That were in trouble.
I never,
You're
it's
doing
a year
something
ago.
that so many people would try, but
Yeah.
and do try and try and try and try.
But
And
I
so,
was that person, you know, and
mm,
I even look now and think I'm a different. If you would have looked at Alisha last year to who I am now, that person's dead and gone. Like, that
yeah,
person will never ever ever be that person that I am. I hated that person. Even, I literally do, like, to think about that, like, I was awful. Do you know what I mean? To my family, to my friends, I lied. I was so bad that even I look now and I'm not ashamed now, because people, it's the truth, it's life, it's real. And
yeah,
someone that come on and tell their story, and Joe, do you know what? Can you swear on it?
you can say what you want. Yeah,
yeah.
I fucked up. I was not a nice person, but I know for one sake that I was hurting, and I just needed help.
Mm,
I didn't know how to reach out and say I've got a problem, because I didn't want to admit it. I just wanted to be like, I'm fine. Don't tell me what to do. Like, my friend, tell you what, like, she'd be like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm fine. Stop telling me what to do. My family, I'm like, stop controlling me. But did I know that every time I used to run downstairs and tell that my granddad, because I was with my grandparents a lot, they were my absolute world, and they are, that when I used to run down the stairs, I'd be like, oh, I'm just getting some fags that are dropped off. He's thinking, you don't smoke, you've been non-smoker for 2 years, so what are you on about? Oh, I'm just running downstairs, someone just dropped me something off. And he knew. And it's like, I'd run back upstairs, lock the door, and I'd use. And like, the stuff I put my family through, like, I disappeared. They didn't know if I was dead or alive. Like, my mum sent me a song, and it was called Safe Inside by James Arthur. Every time that song hits me differently, I tell you, literally the first 3 seconds I'm bawling my eyes out. But I didn't realise what impact it put on my family, or my child, or my friends, you know. And that's the thing, is in addiction, you do not care about anybody around you. You think that the drugs love you so much that you lose everyone that loves you. And that's kind of why I'm here, because do you know what? I'm ready to talk now,
Okay.
And it's all about timing, and that's your time. Do you know what I mean? You're ready. And like a year ago, you wouldn't have been ready. 2 years ago, you wouldn't have been ready. You had to get to your point. And like the bit with your daughter, that was the thing. That was your thing. That was, do you know what I mean? The worst, the bottom.
Yeah,
And you started, you weren't going to take it anymore. You weren't going to do it anymore. And that was your strength. And you're just going from there to there. So just be proud.
thank
Be
you.
proud, really proud.
Can you? I think most people can always remember their rock bottom moment. But I'll just open it up a little bit. I used to be a gambler when I was 18, and like honestly, it hit me different. I was so bad when it came to gambling, and it's like I had like a say for instance, I could have £1,000 in the bank, and I would be running like some crackhead. Like I was at a party, and I was just running like a crackhead to the nearest bookies to place bets, and then like if honestly, if you would have filmed it, you would have just seen this madman at a party just running backwards and forth to this bookies, trying to chase this high, trying to win, trying to
Yeah,
win, trying to win. And it's like I already had £1,000 in the bank. Why did I do that sort of, And it's just like you just don't see it. But
it's
like
escapism as well, isn't it? Like with like, I mean, I don't know. Like I used to gamble when I was wrecked because I was like, I'd be sat in a say like I'd had a partner or whatever, the silly shit I used to do, but
yeah,
I like be up all night and then I'd gamble. And then I'd be like, oh my God, like I'm winning. Like I won 20 grand once. And then I was like, right, I'm banning myself for like 5 years because it was at that point I was like, I'm never going to get this hit again. But there's so many different addictions. You could be addicted to coffee, sex, men, like social media. Like there's so many addictions, isn't there? It's not just drugs,
But,
alcohol. Like,
but you're owning yours, and most people don't. And
yeah,
most of the judgmental people, the ones that are going to, come at you, are the ones that are doing it because they've got issues,
yeah.
anger, abuse, all
I,
sorts.
I just want to do it because, a lot of people know my name. They don't know my story.
No.
And that's literally it. That, do you know what? I'm not doing this for anything else other than a little bit of closure. This is my closure from my drug thing. And if I can help people along the way, then great.
yeah.
I've got a huge heart and I will do anything for anyone. My granny said you'd
And
take a for herpes.
And it's going to be the best therapy for you. Talking,
Yeah,
making contact with other people, just getting it out over and over and over again is just going
yeah,
to help you heal on the inside as well. And like, do you know what I mean? Seeing someone coming through it, you're going to be able to help so many people because, people are just going to see and like think this is their lowest point, and it's because they've seen you, and so
yeah.
you'll get
Uh,
there.
let's go back to that then. Obviously, you start like. Could you remember your first encounter with drugs? Like the first time you decided I'm going to take a drug.
Um, it wasn't your normal self. I was at a party with my mum's friends
Yeah,
basically. My mum had just come in, and my mum didn't know I did drugs at this point, like at all. And there was a plate, and I won't mention it, but her friend had some lines basically, and I'd never done it before, and I don't know why, but like when someone said, "I have to want one," like, and at that point, like I was only young. I was like 18. Like, it didn't really appeal to me. Oh my God, I'm going to be an addict for the rest of my life. So like I was like, yeah, all right. So I had one, and I'm quite bubbly and chatty anyway. So like all it did was just the first time I'd done it, my eyes went like pinballs. Like you definitely could tell when I was on it. When I used to say to my granddad, "I'm not on it," he'd be like, "Look at your eyes," and I'm like that. Okay, like, do you know what I mean?
Robbie Williams style. Yeah.
100%. The worst thing ever is trying to get in a taxi and you've got your sunglasses on like this, and you're like, "Oh, don't just tell me when I'm at my stop." But yeah, so that was my first encounter, and then like I didn't really get affected straight away. It wasn't like an instant wow, I want another one. And it would be when I'd go out. So like I didn't have any friends really. So like my socializing, if I went to the pub, like it would be like there. Do you know what I mean? I'd go to someone's house and they'd be like, "Do you do a bit of coke?" And I'd be like, "Oh, tried it," and then you'd be at a party and then you'd have more. Or you'd be out, you know, going to invite to meet a guy, and then you just get on it together. And it's just like, to look at it now, like, I think, oh my god, like, ooh. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But back then, I was oblivious to the person that I am, not now, but a year ago, how bad and how many drugs I did do.
Wow. When you think back, when you sit there, think back. Obviously, you're nearly a year clean now, which is obviously quite an important thing to mention.
I've been 372 days, which is a year and 6 days.
Wow, that's
Wow,
amazing.
well done.
And I was literally a crackhead for 3 years.
Wow.
If I'm going to say it, I might as well be honest, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Indeed.
There's no point. There's no point not being honest. It's not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah.
You've just got to speak your truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
And one thing you should remember as well, addiction can just hit anyone at any time, and just people that have had normal upbringings. You've had a really hard upbringing. Like not many people can even comprehend. Especially when you're a child, you're constantly just trying to fit in, just so you can make friends and stuff like that. And you've had something really affecting you from your childhood, so that's like really extreme. So you're doing really well to even to be where you are, so.
I think the thing is as well, I haven't done this for sympathy. Like, I haven't done anything.
no.
Sorry for me. But do you know what? Like, if you look at my life now, the amount of people that are like, oh my god, because I was never honest about who I used to be. I never owned it. I'm fucking owning my shit now, because people deal with their mental health different and they escape differently. I just wanted to feel numb. And once the coke didn't hit me anymore, someone said to me once, oh, crack will make you feel completely numb. You won't feel any pain. And I did, and I didn't feel anything. Didn't feel any emotion, no hurt, no pain, no nothing. I was numb. I was empty. I was gone. There was no Alisha anymore. So, when people are suffering, to have someone's story, like recently watching all this for your page and watching these people that have been clean and that they've, like, their experiences, I thought, do you know what? There is no point. I've beat the addiction now. I'm clean. I'm happy, but there's that person that needs to be addressed, because that's how bad mental health can get you. And sometimes people don't come out of it. Like, I could have died nearly 11 times. Why am I still here? And that was only just taking tablets. That wasn't with the drug overdoses that I did either. So just to speak to you guys, obviously you said, oh, did you want to do a podcast? At first I was like, nah, I'm not doing that. I'm too scared. But this is real. This is me. This is my life. This is who I am. Not who I am now. But it's good to speak out, and it shows other people that they can speak out too, and that they're heard.
And the reason why you are here is to put your story out and to get your peace. That's why you're here, because you're strong enough to do it.
How would you imagine? Let's just imagine there's another young girl that's I don't know, 10 years old, 10 to 15 years old, going through family same sort of thing, in the family, God knows what it could be, an alcoholic dad or a criminal dad or whatever. What would your advice be to that younger sort of person that's going through the same stuff that you went through? What would have helped you? What would have helped you going through it when you were younger?
I didn't really have a good relationship with my mum. And we're good now. We've got a relationship now since I had my boy. She's amazing with him. But I had my granddad. So my granddad was my absolute rock. And I would say reach out to the nearest person that you feel safe with at home, because I felt very abandoned constantly. I've been through my adult life. I haven't had successful relationships, because I've been hurt a lot by men. But I'd say reach out to the nearest person. Like, for me, I've got a best friend. And in my adult life now, we've been friends nearly 3 years, and she's been my support. So, if you rant in, if you feel shit, or if we're having arguments, she's like a bit older, she's like an older sister, really. She's very mouthy.
Is that the third hand? Is it?
That is the one.
Yeah. She's welcome to squeeze in with you if she wants to sit with you.
Yeah. So she's obviously been very supportive throughout my journey.
Hiya.
Hello.
Hello. So obviously when like I've had like some situations, but I would say like as my younger self, I didn't have friends because of I was, you know, my family wanted to protect me. Because the thing is that I didn't realise till I got older is my dad said to my mum, I'm going to take her and you're never ever going to see her again. So I thought my mum was just like being horrible to me and not letting me out to play, but I didn't realise what my mum was going through. And I hated my mum for such a long time. Like I despised her. I thought she don't love me, she hates me. And then the same thing happened with my son's dad. So I've got a little boy, my son's dad. And then I realised, and that the thing is, things happen in your life. So I hated my mum for so many years. And then the same thing happened to me with my son's dad. And then I did the same thing like that, you know, my mum went through. You know, wasn't really there for my son. I gave him up for fostering because I couldn't cope and I didn't want him to go through what a shit mum, and I couldn't give him the life that he deserved. And I loved him so much that I thought he was going to abandon me like everybody else. So I gave him away before he could. And I'm fighting for him now. I get to see him a lot more and unsupervised now because I've been clean. But like as a kid, I wouldn't have thought that this would have ever happened to me in my life. So I would say reach out to the nearest person that you trust and just say, like, you know, I didn't have like social services or anything. My mum was never that bad, but you know, reach out to someone that you trust and just explain and talk, or write a diary,
even
or
if it's a teacher.
or a teacher, or social services, or just something. Because no child should ever watch their parent go through that. We're not their parents; we are their children.
Obviously, you know, I mean, most people have their most people have their mum and dad, you know, to sort of speak to at a young age. That's something that, you know, nowadays is actually taken for granted. Like, and who could even comprehend and think that, you know, a young child don't even have their mum and dad to speak to, you know? So, you know, that's hard, you know. You need, most people need their mum and dad at a young. That's when you need them, you know. And then your dynamic, your dynamic.
Guys, though, like my mum has mental health, and she got diagnosed when she was 34. So my mum had a lot of. She says it now. Like my mum is the perfect nan. Like when I tell you, like I look at my mum, I'm like, hang on a minute, is that the same woman? But she did a lot. She's learned a lot. You know, she's dealt with her demons. She's done what she's had to do, and she was young. She was 16. Do you know what I mean? When she happened. So you're still a child. Like, and I didn't realise that as a kid. You don't look at your mum and think, well, my mum's still a child. Like, I look at my mum now, she's my best friend. Like, and our relationship's built because I've let that grudge go. But, you know, like, as that, we were, like, inseparable for ages until, you know, her mental health got bad. But, you know, it is what it is sometimes.
Yeah. Next 5 years, ideally, then next 5 years, how does that look to you? What would you want to achieve in the next 5 years? And personally, anything?
Well, I want my son back, that's for sure. I'm fighting, and I'm going to be having him within the next year. I'm telling you now. Next time I do a podcast, he'll be sat right next to me. That's my goal. That is my only goal in my life, is to, because I know that I can be a good mum. And I've beat my addiction and I've beat my mental health in a way that I know I have mental health and I know that I'm getting help with that. But the only thing that makes me feel normal is being with my son. So when I'm with him, I don't feel anything. I feel happy. I feel joyful. And I wish when I had him, I still had that mentality, but I didn't. But at least I recognised that when he was born, and I was like, oh my God, like I didn't feel like I was good enough. So that I gave him away, but at least he never got taken, and at least I admitted it there and then, and he never had to watch me go through pain. He never had relationships, watch me have men in and out of my life. He's not had any of that. He's subject to none of it. You know, so one good thing that come out of that is I recognised, okay, I'm not okay, but I love that boy so much, I'm going to give him the life I can't give him right now.
And that's some people will hear that and say, oh, she gave her child away, and some people will say, you know, she took her child out of the environment that wasn't set for a child. Most people aren't brave enough to do that, you know, and that's obviously you'll see some women that are just they refuse to sort of deal with their sort of shit, and they'll just keep the child, and the child will see the same things that they saw.
But I'm never a bad mum. Like Monday to Friday, I'd have him, but like soon as that week, because I didn't do anything. So the minute because we was in and out of a baby unit, and it was COVID, so it was lockdown. He was born first lockdown. and I went through a lot with his dad. Something happened to me is sort of the same that happened to my mum. And I had him, and I didn't bond. I postnatal depression, and I didn't know that because they didn't diagnose me till he was nearly 2. So I didn't know why I couldn't bond. I didn't know what was going on. Like at that time, I'm like, what's wrong? Like, why he's not latching to me? Like, why can't I? Why am I not feeling anything? Why do I feel numb? Like, what? I've got a beautiful baby here. Like, and then because my boy, I didn't have a very good labour with him, and I've had quite a few miscarriages due to my like poorly self. I didn't have a very good labour, so I had a really traumatic birth. So when he was born, I was straight down having stitched up. My mum fed him, so there wasn't that attachment. It was more attached to my mum because my mum had that first initial bam contact with him. But like now, I know people will say that, and that's fine, and I fully take that, and I hold my hands up. Yeah, all right, it wasn't the right move, but I tell you what I done it for was because at a child's age, I had weekends free. He was with my mum. Like, it wasn't I did it when he was there. I'm not silly. I knew what to do. But then I felt like, oh my God, like I don't feel okay. Like my mental health's bad. Like, and he still was fed. He still had everything he needed. I still went to work. I still provided for him. I worked right through till my labour. I was selling caravans in my labour. Like, my son had everything he possibly could, but I just couldn't be mum. I don't know why. I couldn't give him. We were homeless, living on a sofa. Then we was in and out of a hostel. Then in hostels you have drugs everywhere anyway. Then I was hanging around with the wrong people. So I done what I thought was right for my son, and I gave him to my auntie. He's still in the family. He's with my auntie. My auntie's been married since she was 18, I think, with her husband. They've got a house together. He's got his own bedroom. He goes to school. He had everything. Now, you go to a single mum that has not a pot to piss in or anything to give their child to a family that has got everything, time, attention. I tried to do that myself, but I was trying to do a full-time job. People might say it was the wrong thing, and it probably was. But I've got a great relationship with my son now because he's happy, he's healthy, he goes to school. He knows that I'm mummy. He always has called me mummy. He's never called me my name. He knows who auntie and uncle is, and he has since the age of 1 year old. Like, my boy is my absolute world, and everything I do and why I'm sat here right now talking to you guys is because I've done it for myself and him. If I'm not okay, I can't be mummy, and that's where I went wrong. I tried to be mummy first without trying to fix myself.
Yeah.
And you can't be mummy if you're not okay. And I don't care what anyone says. If you're not okay, you can't be mummy for your children. Because
You're so right there. You are so right.
you can't.
Mum has to be good.
Can't do it.
Mum's the top of the chain. If mum's not good, it filters down. So getting yourself straight, you'd be proud of what you've done.
Thank
Do you know what I
you.
mean? You did the right thing at the right time for your baby. Do you know what I mean? So many people would have been no and would have kept with the baby and would have, and as we know it, we see it in schools. Then these kids go all through, what they go through. You didn't want that. You knew up here that you didn't want that for your boy, and you sorted it out. Do you know what I mean? So good for you. Good for
Yep.
Thank
you.
And you're over a year clean. Most people most people that were stuck in the addiction, like stuck in being an addict now. Sorry, I've lost my words there. But yeah, but just most people going through what you went through and still still using. What would your advice be to them just on how you got clean?
So I didn't have any support. So a lot of the systems at the moment, listen, I'm not going to say anything, but they don't help people. No offense, they don't. There's so much of a backlog on people that you could be literally ringing the crisis line saying, I'm going to kill myself. Not that I am. So before anyone thinks I am, I'm not. The system is quite broken, and as in it, there's not enough team to help everyone. People suffer with their mental health. I had a company that I worked with on the island that tried to look after me at first, but because my mindset, I wasn't ready to admit I had a problem. I wasn't, in my head, I kept thinking I was fine. I'm fine, flipping out, it's everyone else. It wasn't until I was sat on a bed on the floor with no carpet in the middle of in a bando, what they used to call it, with nothing. I didn't wash my hair, I didn't clean, I didn't do nothing, that I went, what? I nearly died. I was like, what's going on with me? Like, how have I got to this? And then I picked my phone up, I looked at my phone, and there was a beautiful little boy on the screen. And from that day on, I swear, a year and 5 6 years, 8th of August last year was the last time I used. I sat there, I looked at my phone, and the light just switched off. There was drugs on the floor. I got up, I rung my family, I'm coming home. I got home, and I got clean.
You
And then
found your why.
again. I left where I was living because it was too much of a trigger when I first come back. I left and I went somewhere I couldn't access drugs. I went to work away, and I built a life that I knew I could be for my son. And I went and I grafted every day. I went through the sweats. I didn't have any help. I had no script. I had nothing, no mental health support. I did it all on my own because I knew that if I didn't sort my shit out, my son would lose his mum and he hasn't got a dad. And I didn't want my son to be like, why couldn't my mummy fight for me? That's why I got clean, was because I thought, this is never going to end. If I don't break that cycle now, I'm stuck. And then my son might end up using, or my son might be around it. If I break the cycle now, which I tell you now, I would never ever touch a drug again. If anyone, no, ever, or drink, nothing, because I know I have a purpose and a goal. And it's only took my mentality now to be like, I'm going to spin that pain and anger that I feel, stop feeling sorry for myself, and smash it out work and smash out being mum, because I know that's what I'm destined to do.
Wow, amazing. Just amazing. And one of the most important things that you said there is obviously you moved away from the environment, and sometimes people think that they can just sort of stay. They wonder why they can't get clean or whatever. If you're still hanging around with the same guy that smokes and drinks, and you're still walking past those pubs where people are hanging outside and stuff like that, it's impossible. Like, it's near enough impossible. I think
I think that's the problem for most people. They don't. Oh, sorry. I think the problem with most people is they want to get better, but they're not prepared to do what needs to be done to get better. And you don't mean
I think
they're not prepared to make changes,
wow.
and like moving away.
It's the influences around you. So what you call it is your attachment styles. If you hung around with someone that's using drugs every single day, constantly in your face, you are going to become a drug addict. If you surround yourself with a millionaire, you're going to have that millionaire's mindset of, fuck me, I'm going to become a millionaire. But when you're hanging around with negative, what I used to call them neg ferrets and work, little negging you out constantly, depressed, miserable, still drugs, money.
Don't have any of that.
No, but some people will stay in that because like that's their friend. They're like, that's my friend, they love me. They're my friends. But when you show someone a bit of love and affection and a bit of attention, that's their friend. So just to try and look past that, you will stick by your friend no matter what they do. But I had to cut every single person off. Like, even now, like, people will ring me and I'm like, oh my God, you're still stuck where you were a year ago. You're ringing me off your face, sniffing lines. Like, I'm in recovery now and I look and I feel sick. So if someone does that now, I'm like, ugh, it makes me feel sick. No offence to anybody, but that's my personal opinion. But I got away from it. I cut all my friends off that used to do it. I loved them so much. They didn't love me unless I had money.
Yeah.
You know?
They weren't really friends. They weren't really friends.
Sesh friends. We used to call them the sesh friends. You know?
They're memes, just it's all about them. Just, you know, but your head's right. I've been listening to everything you've been saying. Your head is in such a good place. You've been doing all the right things to get where you're meant to be going, and I think you're absolutely going to fucking smash it because you're just bloody amazing. And like from where you've come from at such a young age, and everything you've gone through, look at yourself. Look at yourself and listen to yourself, and honestly, be very proud of yourself.
Don't be fooled though. I do have days when I have my bad mental health, and this is why I'm kind of well, because as much as now I look at myself and I'm fine, there's still days that I don't want to get out of bed. But I know when I'm having a bad day, and it doesn't mean I have to use. But what I explain to people as well is when you're in addiction, you have no emotion, you're numb. Now I'm feeling every single emotion, and even emotions I didn't even know I had. But I have to feel it. I can't use again. And I tell myself, my son everywhere, all around me, all in my caravan, wherever I go, on my phone, on my keys. So if I ever feel like I'm in a situation and I'm so down, I look at everything I've got and I'm like, right, okay, snap back out of it. No, I'm not going to feel down now, you know? So, and it is.
You're on a healing journey. You're on your healing journey. That's not going to stop for like next week, next month. That's going to go for a long time. You might just start crying one day just because you know things are getting better. I'm on my healing journey and that happens to me. So I know that, do you know what I mean? You're just going to keep going, keep going,
It's
keep
really
going.
strange as well because I have never had a really good relationship with like men, and I've recently met someone, and like it's really strange because like I'll always push someone away that I get close to because I think they're going to hurt me, but like I've met this person and he's actually really nice. He treats me like a princess. Like he understands my addiction. I when I first met him, I laid it all out on the table and I went, there you go, take it or leave it. Do you want to talk to me or not? Because I knew that if in 6 months' time I did tell him that, one, if I fell in love with him or whatever, he would leave me and I'd feel abandoned again and I could be in a situation where I would put myself in a vulnerable position. But if I lay, like, when I meet someone straight away, I'm like, I'm Alisha and this is who I used to be. And because I'm not ashamed of it anymore, you know, and I own it. So someone might be like, oh, did you used to do drugs? I'm like, yeah, I did. I don't anymore though. What's your problem? Because if I'm honest with myself and I don't lie and I'm authentic and I tell someone straight away who I am, if they don't like me, that's their problem.
Yeah,
But
oh,
I'm true,
absolutely.
you know?
Yeah. No, your mindset, it's your mindset. You've changed that. And that is the thing that most people refuse to change, but you've decided to change it so you can go all the way.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it. So I've got a bit
That,
emotional.
that's
No,
fine. That's fine.
and so you should be getting emotional because this is all the stuff coming out. It's just going to
It's
get
just,
better and better. You're
yeah.
going to have bad days. You're going to have bad days.
I
And those
cry if I
days,
drop a spoon or something. I'm, oh my God.
but bad days are good. Bad days are good because if you don't have the odd bad day or bad days here and there, you're still healing, so you're going to have them. You
The
know,
worst thing
just
is when you cry over a potato dog because the shop don't sell them and you're fuming because you've been dreaming about it for 3 days.
No, I mean, it's the most important thing as well is like, that you should be proud of yourself for is that,
You're going to drop.
is
Don't,
that
don't worry, just stuck to the
your
window.
your juggling skills aren't the best, but yeah.
Hang on, you just stuck to the window. Blame TikTok shop for that one.
Oh yeah,
sorry.
yeah, you're being yourself now. You're being yourself. It would have been so easy for you, pretty woman on TikTok, portray the best life ever. I'm the happiest person ever, which most people are doing. Most people are lying to themselves, like, every single day on TikTok. You see them in their power couples, and they're sort of posing for pictures. It's all fake. You can just tell. It's like sit still, and then the moment they took that picture, not even speaking to each other for the whole day.
100%. And I think, I looked at my TikTok and I was like, oh my God, you're fake. And I even sat there this morning and was like, you're so fake. Like, and that's why I did the awareness video, because I was like, you're not that person. Like, you act all happy, but you've been sat in bed crying for 2 days. Like, do you know what I mean? And I thought, once I kept seeing like my For You page with addiction and stuff, I'm like, is this what I'm meant to do? I'm meant to tell my story. Like, and it was only that, and I sat and cried when I put that video up. I did, because I was like, oh my God, shit, like I've left myself out there now. And then I thought, you know what? Fuck it. I don't care. I really don't care now. I've lost I've lost everything. What more could I lose? What, someone don't like me? Okay. But this is who I am and who I feel like I should have been. I should have been honest about how I feel. And if I can help people along that way and save a few more lives, I might not. People might not listen to me, but I think that this is my time to tell my story. And a lot of my things have stemmed from my dad. A lot of my pain and my trauma and my issues have stemmed from that. And, when like people out there might relate, or they might have things that they've gone through, and just speak up, like be honest about who you are, because if someone doesn't want that, or before it gets to that point, if you feel like you're doing drugs a bit too much, or you feel scared, like I'm just a message away. You'll probably put my username down below or something. I've had 2 people today just message, like, I'm always free for a chat. Don't suffer alone. There is always people out there with the same story or different story, but different ways you go through things.
Yeah, and that's very admirable of you as well. Like most people that go through stuff like that and they come out the other side, they want to help. I would just say on TikTok, it's it's a very tedious place sometimes, because I had a lady that was an alcoholic for a very long time, and she used to love helping people, and then I think this guy was messaging her pretending that he needed help and blah blah blah, and maybe he did, but it was all just sort of like an in to try get in to meet her, more intimately and stuff. So
Oh,
there are
absolutely
people.
not. I think my
Yeah.
body. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
I'm joking. But the
Yeah.
thing is, do you know what? I know, like, if someone messaged me, and I'm at that stage now where words really don't affect me anymore. Like, I've had everything thrown at me. I've had the book thrown at me. Not like that. I've never been in trouble, by the way. But I've had so many things thrown at me. Like, now I'm ready for it. I'm like, okay, is that all you've got? But if I could at least be an ear to someone, like a guy today said, I tried to end my life yesterday. And I was like, okay, talk to me. Tell me how you feel. Because if I only listened to someone when I was going through an addiction, I may not have got as bad as I did, but I didn't want to listen. So I can help, but I can't make people change. They have to do it themselves. And it didn't matter that my best friend told me she wouldn't be my friend again. It didn't tell me that my son was never going to see, like, I wouldn't see my son again. That's what stopped. But I lost everything. I had nothing. I had no money. I had no home. I was living on a floor. I had no bed, like nothing. Like, and that still didn't stop me. The only thing that stopped me was when they said, you will never ever see your son again if you use one more time. That was it then. It was like, phew, shit, oh my God, I'm never going to see my son.
Wow.
And that was it. It was because they didn't do that before. Do you know what I mean? It was like they didn't care, like, because he was safe and looked after. He didn't care what I was doing because I was not in his care. But now, like when they said that to me a year ago, I was like, oh my God, this isn't a joke anymore. Like, am I going to pick my addiction or am I going to pick my child that needs their mum? Every boy, mum, every child needs their mum. Am I really make my son suffer for the rest of his life? And I also thought, what if my son goes on to abuse women because he didn't think his mum loved him? Do you see what I mean? So it's a domino effect.
Of course.
If I didn't step up and be the person that he needs, he's got an auntie and uncle and nan and granddad and nan that love him, but sometimes they only want their mum. And if I never seen him again until he was 18, he'd have to go through all his whole child life. Well, why didn't my mum love me? And then if anyone tried to get close to him like I did with a guy, I'd be like, they're going to leave me or whatever. I didn't want that for him, you know?
On that note, Alisha, you've been an amazing guest. You've been very open, but obviously the internet is forever. And one of the main reasons why I like to do this is so people get to tell their story from their perspective. So I'll end this with you. Your final message. Let's just say your son sees this in 10 years' time. What would you say to your son?
I would say that, Jackson, all I've ever tried to do is for you, but I didn't do it the right way. Been down a few paths, but Mummy is on the right path now, and we will soon have you home. And anyone that needs any support, just reach out to anybody that you trust. Trust me, I wish I did a long time ago.
Wow. Joe, anything you want to say before we go?
Wow. Just be proud. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep crying. Keep having bad days. Keep having good days. Just keep feeling and just get all your emotions and all the shit out. And do not give a fuck what anyone else thinks. It's not important. You're all that's important.
And sassy
And
now.
your son.
Bread and dessert.
Everybody, the lovely Alisha, her links will be in the description. Thank you very much, Alisha, for coming on and being open and telling your story.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Thanks.